Man, what's the word, YouTube fam? You watching Wait a Minute TV, and this episode of Invincible was incredible to say the least. Without further ado, let's just jump right into it. I want to kick off this review by discussing the opening fight scene with Paul. Folks blew my mind with the usage of his abilities. Paul attempted to break out of prison by making clones of himself to burst open the prison cell door and fight off the guards in one of the most gruesome and grotesque displays of his power I've ever seen. He used the copies of his body to fill up the prison cell in order to push open the cell doors, which kills all of the copies of himself. He then proceeds to create more copies of himself to fight off the prison guards. At the beginning of the fight, he is putting belt to ass, straight demolishing the security guards, you hear me? But is ultimately stopped by the head prison guard. His sister Kate comes to visit him and tells him that she thinks that his attempt to break out of prison was downright foolish. They start arguing about Cecil and how his team are only trying to use them along with the rest of the superheroes as weapons. They then have a heartfelt moment about their father, and Paul feels like he left them to be used by the government. But Kate doesn't agree with this sentiment. Kate doesn't feel like Paul should have left to join the order because they turned him into a murderer. But Paul tells his sister that she's just as much of a killer as he is. Paul lets her know that she won't be able to leave the GDA just as he won't be able to leave the order easily. Meanwhile, Eve and Mark trying to be slick. After having some intimate alone time, Eve sneaks out of Mark's bedroom window, then flies down to the front door and acts like she just got to the house, but is outed by Mark's little brother Oliver, although his mother already knew she was there the night before. Oliver is continuously growing at a rapid pace, and he seems to have hit an early puberty. Mark and Oliver are not quite seeing eye to eye because it seems like Oliver's growth spurt is getting a little to his head. Mark proposes to his mother that him and Eve should get their own apartment. She believes that they are two adults that can make their own decisions, but she does enjoy having them around, and she really needs Mark around to help out with Oliver. Since they decide to get their own place, though, they trying to figure out a way to come up with bread for it. They decide to create their own superhero-owned retainer company called Invincible Inc. Oliver goes missing. Eve and Mark go looking for him. They find him skateboarding at a park with his friends. Oliver and his friends get confronted by some older bullies that tell him to leave the park, but Oliver stands up to them while Mark and Eve still watching in the distance. Mark wants to intervene, but Eve tells him not to because Oliver can handle himself. But Mark ain't worried about them whooping on his little brother. He worried about Oliver punching a hole through their goddamn chest. Oliver ends up using his powers just to embarrass the bullies by pulling their pants down, making them scatter, which shows Mark that he's not super violent and that he really is a good kid. Meanwhile, Rex invites Ray to an at-home dinner date. He cooks a romantic dinner for them, and even though they both recognize that their lives aren't normal, they still are managing to have fun and get to know each other in the process, which shows that Rex is having a bit of a character development. Titan, who is like a mix of Marvel's Kingpin and DC's Penguin, gets confronted by Lou, who wants him to break Paul out of prison. Titan informs Lou that they tried, but it was a failed mission, by which then Lou threatens to harm Titan's daughter, Fiona, if he doesn't get him out in the next 24 hours. Titan meets up with the Machine Head to devise a plan in which Machine Head is reluctant to work with him due to the fact that Titan is the reason he's even in prison to begin with. Titan then meets up with Mark to let him know that there's a lot of people that are going to die if he doesn't help him out. He tells Mark about the order and how Lou wants him to break Multiple out of prison, or else they're going to hurt his daughter. Mark, being kind of an asshole in this situation, isn't trying to hear any of what Titan talking about, and he tries to arrest Titan, but he ends up escaping. Titan is then confronted by Lou and his bodyguard. He refused to get Multiple out of prison in time, so Lou turns into a dragon and starts putting belt to ass on him. After Titan gets his ass handed to him by the dragon then heads over to break out Multiple from prison. Mark and Eve interrupt the prison break. Lou starts putting belt to ass on Mark too. Come to find out, Titan has devised a plan with Machine Head and his teleporting bodyguard to set up Lou and kill him, which they were successful in doing, or so they thought. This makes Machine Head the new leader of the Order. This then prompts Titan to tell Machine Head and the Order that he owns the city now and that they can have the rest and that he's out of the Order. Machine Head then replies that he agrees to the terms, but he lets him know if he crosses him ever again, he will turn everybody that he loves into a pack. At the end of this episode, we find out that Multipaw actually did escape and that Lou is still alive. This whole episode, it seems like everybody had been underestimating my boy Titan's intelligence. From Lou to Machine Head to Mark. He really showed his ass in this episode, though, by showing how intelligent he really is. And he's not just some dude off the streets. Bro really said, sometimes you gotta pop out and show hitters. You can also tell that Mark is still doubting his abilities because he was unable to defeat Lou. But it doesn't even matter because at the end of the day, Eve is sticking by his side no matter what. With them both deciding to hold off on getting an apartment, I think it's going to give Mark some time to enhance his abilities and also help Oliver cultivate his. I really ended up loving this episode and how it turned out because it was action packed and it gave a lot of character development. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Please tap the like button, share, and subscribe. And until next time, YouTube fam, I'm out.